Hello and welcome to the Ask Aviator podcast number 29. For those of you guys who missed the pre-show, I encourage you, if you're listening to this as a podcast and you didn't get to watch the pre-show, it was quite possibly the most entertaining pre-show we've ever had because we did Paramotor Jeopardy for the first time. And by we, I mean John and Kate plus 8. They really crushed it. The questions were hilarious. The answers were quite possibly funnier. I've never heard Virga called Viagra so many times in my life, but it was very entertaining, and it was great to see the interaction from everyone. We had a lot of people watching live and joining in. If you guys enjoyed that, please leave comments down below, and if you have ideas for questions we can ask in future ones, feel free to email those to john@aviatorppg.com because we are excited about the potential of doing things like this in the future. We want to keep doing things that create audience interaction and encourage people to join in because it makes it more entertaining. So Jeopardy was John's idea, I believe, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do Jeopardy. What do you think?" I was like, "That sounds awesome." So yeah, there we have it. We've had the very first ever Guinness Book of World Records first time Paramotor Jeopardy. It was fantastic. We had a great time. I want to say hello to a few people in the chat right now. We've got Uncle Tony PPG, Bob Garber, Eric Sheridan, Brian Knopp, Derek Trout, Andrew Finnegan. We've got lots of folks coming in here right now. Kelby Cox, Craig Taylor. Great to see all of you guys here. If you enjoyed the pre-show, if you enjoyed this show in general, please leave a like on the video, guys. Share it with your friends and family on Facebook, on Twitter, on everywhere else. Steve Zavani says he's flying to Georgia tomorrow. I'll stop off if you're going to be at the airport. Yes, I should be at the airport sometime tomorrow. Peter Cesla, hello. Ripman Riding, Saeed, great to see all of you guys here. It's always a pleasure to have you guys involved. This is, it's a work in progress. It's funny, I've had this conversation with the employees a few times recently where it's like, I'm talking to my team and I'm like, listen, the reality is there's just so much to learn. We're still trying to figure everything out, and I feel that way about pretty much everything in life. So really appreciate you guys being here, being a part of this, and learning with us. So thank you very much. Bob Litherek, great to see you, my friend. PPG Grandpa, welcome. We've got, let's see, look for the White Series. Yeah, Steven, let us know what time you're coming through. And Craig Taylor says that Derek Trout never wins anything, which is completely infactual. Derek Trout won Tucker's giveaway, so he's the king of the world right now. I'm a little bit jealous, not going to lie. 2 weeks of vacation while learning to fly sounds like a great time to me. All right, so we have some questions saved up. This episode is probably not going to be as long. I do want to point out, by the way, John, you'll appreciate this. There are currently, I think it's 14 less viewers than we had for the pre-show. So it's official. The pre-show is more popular than the real show. And I'm totally okay with this. That is absolutely awesome. I appreciate you guys checking in for the pre-show. This was a blast. Too much freaking fun. So, yes, if you missed the pre-show, you won't understand, but my middle name is Kendall. We have questions to answer, and we're going to bring in our very special guest, as John alluded to in the pre-show. This is someone who really needs to hear his voice heard. He's currently behind the camera, and I actually see him in full-on Rocky mode. He is fighting the air. He's dancing. He just ran up a whole bunch of steps. At least that explains why he's breathing hard. And at this point, I'm really excited to introduce my good friend, John Hancock.
Woo! Thanks. Happy to be here.
John, it's always a pleasure to get you on the show. It feels like it's been such a long time since we've had a frank conversation about your hair.
It's easily been a week.
Well, probably 4 hours, realistically.
Feels like a week.
But in all seriousness, we bring you on these shows, and you always give me crap for it because you're like, who are you bringing on the show this week? And I'm like, you. And you're like, well, why? And I was like, because you're good on camera.
The people are sick of John.
Well, no, because the viewer count's already going up. We've already picked up 3 more viewers.
Jeff Booth says Lucian should be banned from future Jeopardies.
Here's the problem with banning Lucian from future Jeopardies. This is where I wish. So one of the things we want to do next year or in this next quarter is to increase our production value more for the show. And one of the things we want to do is be able to show some clips as we show the stream, because there's some pretty solid clips of Lucian on our adventure.
Oh yeah,
where he decided that we needed to have shots. And our Airbnb was a lovely Airbnb, outrageously expensive, and sadly had absolutely nothing by way of
Shot glasses.
Shot glasses. So he did the logical Australian thing, which was to bring out the measuring cups. And somehow I ended up with a 1 cup shot of bourbon, as did he.
Exactly 8 ounces. Yep.
It was quality. Yeah, it was. When the weather's not good enough to fly, you find ways to entertain yourself. So it was definitely entertaining as can be. So, Lucian, glad to have you on the stream. I imagine that by now you've hacked into your fake account, Molly Gwynn, and you are reading my book. You're one of the first to read it. I hope that you've enjoyed it so far. The DMs that have come from your girlfriend have been really gracious. So many thanks to her for enjoying the time reading my book. For those of you guys who don't know, somebody gave a quick congratulations. I finally finished my freaking book, and I'm so excited about it. It's
is good.
In the editor's hand. Should be out of the editor's hand in the next week, and then it's off to formatting, and then it gets off to print, and hopefully before Christmas. Audiobook's coming. I'm going to use this microphone right here.
Yeah, baby.
And I might have you do it.
No, you don't want to use that microphone.
Why not?
You want to use a good one.
This is an expensive microphone. This microphone costs more than my car, first car.
That's true, it did, but it is cheap comparing. You want a good Shure SB 150.
Guys, we can't do it. Can't do it. All right, so we have questions coming in. We have awesome people in here. PPG Grandpa asked a question about reserves. He says, I have a question about reserves. Should you get the best glider ratio so you don't hurt yourself when you land? Is steerable better? Do you have any experience to handle this question, John?
I rarely have a reserve ride, Eric. You know that.
I will say I have never had a reserve ride, so I may not be the most qualified either.
Yeah.
However, my opinion is you should buy a reserve that is slated for your weight. Yeah. You want a reserve that's designed and EN certified for your weight. Steerable is an awesome option. They are more expensive, and they do have a lot more complexity with repacking.
It's more involved in general, right? Even on deploy, shouldn't it be a little more involved? There's a little bit.
Actually, no. The deployment's very, very fast. It's still a Regalo wing. It opens up really quickly.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about them. I've never thrown one. I have friends who've thrown both. I fly with a Ozone Angel Square 140. It's a lightweight square reserve, opens very quickly with a great descent rate, which is kind of hits. I wanted lightweight first and foremost.
Right.
And if I were to be doing more heavy acro and training for acro, I would add a second reserve, which would probably be a steerable.
How much steering is it allowing you?
Sorry for the coughing, guys. Guess I'm.
Are you actually are you steering?
Oh yeah. You can steer, flare, everything with a Regalo reserve. You can do a lot.
Really?
So apologies for the coughing, guys. It's getting better, which is an upside, but it's not perfect. So we're still working on it. Let's see. Mitch Briggs says, does the Fly Products throttle have a cruise control setting? And does the Aviator throttle have a cruise control setting? Mitch, to answer your question, to both, no. I have flown mini throttles with a cruise control. I find that it decreases safety, and so I don't recommend it. Some throttles have a very strong return spring, and they make it more challenging to hold consistent pressure. I fly with the Aviator throttle. It's the throttle I built for me. I didn't build it. Alex Huff built the first one, and then we had it developed and built at a factory. I love it so much because it's very light pressure. It doesn't take much. Your hand never feels tired, even when flying for a very long time.
What's the safety issue? I wonder, is it like sometimes you need, for example, if you hit a wind change and your wings gets a little bit parachutal, you need to be able to immediately come off throttle, right? Is that what it is?
So it's turbulence. So we taught our thermaling clinic this last 2 days.
Yep.
So it ended up being Sunday, Monday instead of Saturday, Sunday because the weather was so bad on Saturday. We had a great time. We had Robert from Canada come down. Partha came in. Partha's in the chat right now. Cool. Partha, if you would share your experience with the chat. We flew Sunday in gray skies with 1,600-foot overcast. It was cold, the coldest I've flown in a while.
Nice.
But we still found thermals, right. And we were able to enjoy the first taste of what it's like to do midday flying.
Yeah.
And we had a great pre-brief, flight, debrief, and then the following day we got together, short pre-brief, kind of walk people through what to expect with a little punchier thermals. As we flew, the thermals hadn't broken through the layer yet, so it was still very low. And we were trying to make sure we stayed high enough to have reserve tosses if necessary. We tried to keep everything as safe as possible. And then suddenly, it was like, boom. All the thermals blew through the air barriers, and suddenly we went from a 600-foot high top of thermal to about 1,600 foot.
Nice.
And I shut my motor down a couple of times, had a great experience getting to shut the motor down and just fly in the thermals and enjoy. We taught a lot about where to look for visual cues on the ground, how to follow a thermal in higher wind. Because yesterday we had very high winds for flying, period, much less thermal flying. So it was a really good learning process, and we had a great time. But I bring this whole story up to talk about the fact that at one point, right when we decided, you know what, the winds are picking up too high, it's time to fly home.
Yep.
I made a turn. I was flying behind a swampland, and I got slammed on my Ozone Mojo power. Got slammed by a really big hit. Ended up right brake, about half brake, left brake, full brake, just to keep the nose from surging past me because it was a big thermal I hit, and I was trying to make it home. And so in that situation, the first thing I did was dump power,
right,
so I could reduce my pitch angle, increasing the pressure in the wing, allowing me to have a safer journey. So I don't prefer cruise control because it does not allow you to do that.
Yep.
If you're flying in perfect conditions and you're flying for hours on end, I can see why cruise control could be helpful. But even when I've had it, I've very rarely used it. I don't find it to be extremely beneficial. So find a throttle that's very comfortable, that fits your hand.
Yeah.
For me, that's our throttle. I love our throttle. It's a 2-finger throttle, so it's just pinky and ring finger.
Yep.
And it's reversible left or right hand. It's very, very easy to use. Plus, it's strong as snot. It's carbon fiber and aluminum. Yep. It's not one of these things that's plastic and will break if you step on it.
Yeah. Kat showed me how to... Kat actually had to show me how to hold it properly because I learned back when I learned to fly. This was before our throttle came out, so I learned on the regular the Polini throttle that comes with the Mavericks.
Right.
And then,
well, for now, we're actually working on switching them to Aviator throttles.
Right, and then but that's what they did back when I learned. And then now we're using the Aviator throttle, and I didn't know. I just grabbed it like a normal throttle. Kat showed me this like cool way to hold it, where there's a strap on there for this, but you put the strap around twice, basically, like putting your hand through the two straps.
Right, and it gives you a little more contact point.
Oh, it's so snug, and it's like part of your hand. It's like when Spider-Man shoots his webs, it's just part of his hand, you know what I mean? It's like I didn't feel like I was holding a throttle. Like I felt like I was able to do stuff because it was so snug, and it's a really small, flat profile, and I really... I'm not trying to sell it. I really liked it.
Yeah.
Once I figured that out.
Once you get it is a very different throttle. Somebody asked me about the Chameleon throttle.
Yeah.
The Chameleon throttle. I've used a bunch of ridiculous throttles over the years. I've never used the mouth throttle. That is a thing.
No.
You put it in your mouth and you bite down. That's an early Paramotor thing.
Why?
But I've used thumb throttles.
Yeah, that's weird.
Where you use a plunger. I've used.
How can you be accurate?
And then you flip it upside down to shut it down, which is very weird.
No.
Yes, seriously. I've used the Chameleon, which is a finger throttle. I've tested the new Chameleon, or the new throttle from the same company. I like that. It's a really interesting throttle. I've used Polini, Fly Products, Air Conception, Viterazzi, Blackhawk, Parajet's original trigger throttle, the throttle from the Flat Top, which is trigger throttle. I've used a lot of throttles.
Yeah.
And I basically, my goal was to create something that created an ergonomic fit that felt natural.
Yeah.
And the kill button's right there. It's easy mounting to add a smoke button, whatever else. It has an electric start that you can reach with one hand if you have gangly hands like mine. So it works. I don't love cruise control for the safety aspects. Joe N says cruise control is really nice for putting on gloves and or fixing/correcting something that happens to gain a lot of altitude. I agree, Joe. That is the only bonus I can say is if you're putting gloves on, you can set the cruise control, put the throttle in your lap. Maybe that would be a good solid balance.
Yeah.
But for me personally, it's not worth the give and take.
What is the trouble with flying with gloves? Is it more about because people take off without their gloves on? Are they so that they can feel the A's better? Because I've never considered flying with gloves, so I don't know what they're missing. Is it this tactile, the pressure, or what is it?
I launch with gloves when I know I need to fly with them. Even if I'm not, like yesterday, for instance, on the ground it was warm, in the air it was going to be cold. We knew it would be cold. I launched with both gloves on, but in the past I would launch with my left glove on where I keep my throttle and fly without my right one, so that I wouldn't have to go through the trouble of switching gloves, particularly in thermic conditions. I don't want to be going on cruise control anyway. So it's all different. It's all different things.
Okay, interesting.
Peter Ciesla says, I'm attending training in January in Lake Wales. What cold weather gear should I bring, if any? Peter, man, it really depends on what week it is. Yeah. And where the fronts are. It could be 75, 80 degrees. It could be 32.
Yeah, and honestly, it could be 80. That's not a joke.
No, it really could. So my encouragement would be to get a puffy jacket, something that's low profile, no hoods.
No hoodies.
Ask Lucian. He melted a hood the first time I met him. A good pair of thin gloves. My recommendation would actually be to pick up a pair of, I believe they're Columbia Ascent gloves, Ascent 2s. They're about $40.
The Ascent 2's a jacket. I know that.
I think they make. I think it's a glove also. I'm not sure.
Is it that spelled?
No, good lord.
No, it's ASCENT. And I believe that's the glove, and that's the liner I wear. And then I use the Power and Motion heated gloves if it's really, really, really cold. And we are the U.S. importer for those, so they're fantastic. We keep them in stock as much as we can. They're light. They don't create a massive tactile issue, and
we have more on order.
We have more on.
Size is not in stock.
Nina says we have more on order if the size is not in stock. So we'll put a link in the description. But the Power Motion gloves and vest, they just come out with socks that are heated, which we're working on those, and a few other things that are really cool. So if you're going to fly in super cold conditions, it's a really, really good balance.
Am I going to need gloves?
PPG Grandpa said, heated gloves, what's best? In our opinion, the Power Motion ones. We've tried basically everything that's out there. The Milwaukees are a nice glove, but they're too thick. You want to find a balance point between thickness and tactile ability.
Yeah, these are glove liners, right?
So they're glove liners, right. And they aren't windproof, which is why you want to add like the Columbia overliner that blocks the wind.
If it gets that bad.
The funny thing is you can actually, if you want to be really cheap, you can wear the glove liner and put a pair of latex gloves over top, and it kills the wind.
Ross said that.
Yep. I've done that. It works very well. So these are things that you always want to kind of balance. But Eric Bankston says he bought the heated gloves, still need a glove on top. Absolutely, Eric. That's 100% agreed. You need the glove on top in order to be able to have the windproof and the heat. My favorite gloves before those were the Nirvana heated gloves. They're very expensive, and they have extra heating around the pinky and the ring finger. But they're so thick. I only wore them when there was snow outside, because they're so thick. And even on like level 1, your hands are sweating in a few seconds. So it was my second favorite pair of gloves. But I tried a bunch. All right, let's go back to questions. We have more questions. Duster 8 says, "What time should we show up for Aviator Days if we are registered?" That's for you, John.
I think it's it's on there somewhere. So this is actually a good time to bring this up. Aviator Days is coming next month.
Yes, it is.
So go to aviatorppg.com, click on Aviator Days at the top. Okay, register yourself so that you can get in and test out everything we offer.
What is Aviator Days? What's the point?
Yeah, so we have all this new stuff that we haven't been carrying forever. So 500 students have come through here and learned to fly, and since we got all this new stuff, new brands that we sell. New wings that are out, new heated gloves. Come try the heated gloves. Come try the strobes that are new. Come try the Aviator throttle. The Eclipse is out. There's a lot of stuff that you need to try. Really important, especially if you're still flying an older paramotor and you've been thinking about upgrading. You probably want to, you want to test drive the car.
Yeah, you want to try it first. And this is an opportunity. We always welcome people to come when our schedule allows it, but we actually set this week aside. We scheduled a trike training class versus a regular foot launch class. So we could encourage pilots to come and have a kind of a VIP experience at no charge.
Yeah, no charge. So go and sign up and try literally anything you want, anything that weather and time allows for.
Weather, time, and your skill. If you come in here and you have 30 hours of flight time and you ask to fly a free ride 15, it's not going to happen.
What will we? Will we let them try a Spider even? What
Say, 30
Hours?
absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
So Spider, no Sirocco.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Every size Mojo.
So we have all the Mojos. If you've been wanting to try a Mojo, if you're coming from a different wing brand and you want to try the real, a decent option,
or a Spider, or some Siroccos, some free rides.
So can you put the link in there so that people know?
I have at least one for your ed.
Put the link in there. It's at the very top of aviatorppg.com, Nina. You got the website pulled up already.
So the whole goal was to create an opportunity for people to come together and just to enjoy each other's company. So if you want to come and see what Aviator's all about, you want to try some new gear, there's a few slots left, I believe. The link is in the description right now. You go to the website and click on the top and see where it says Aviator Days. Come join us at no cost.
Yeah. It's going to be really cool. We're going to, we'll make time to hang out with you and get you fitted for some people. I know that a lot of people are coming to try the helmet. They're really interested in trying out the helmet comms with all the various connectivity. So that'll be good. If you need a new helmet, some people are like, I want to try the Spider 3 and I want to try your strobes. I'm like, all right, fine.
Yeah, they'll be able to try the Aviator Throttle. No problem.
Everybody's going to try the Throttle.
Somebody asked, Christine asked, how do you feel about someone trying to learn on the new Eclipse? We actually have an Eclipse in the school, and my wife, this is a huge shout out. So first off, hi, Dad. My dad's in the chat. My wife learned to fly over the last 2 weeks.
Woo!
And it is, man, to get serious, I'm not going to cry. This is the first thing she's done for herself in the 10 years that I have been married to her. The first time in 10 years she's done something specifically for herself at her own timeline and exactly what she needed for her. This is not about me. She decided when she wanted to learn to fly. We put her in the schedule. She took a student slot, so she'd have the full experience. I didn't want her to go through training with me. I did talk her up for her first flight, which was a huge honor, but I didn't do any of the rest of her training. It was her and the instructors. They followed the same system that I would recommend your wife go through. Right?
Yeah, I remember like if you could have at any time pushed her in, but you just waited and waited and waited until she said, "Hey, I'm ready."
Yes.
And she paid full price.
She is paid more than full price. Yes. No, so she went through the training and she decided she's 110 pounds, 5'8". She decided the best motor for her was the Eclipse with the 80. So she actually learned to fly on that. No damaged equipment. She had a couple butt landings, and but she's done very well. I still love the Maverick personally, but for her, the Eclipse and the little bit lighter weight was a huge difference. And it was a really good plan. For those of you guys who haven't seen it yet, the episode 1 of our Aviator Family series is live on YouTube. Same channel you're on right now. Secondarily, if you're a Patreon, which I know that none of you are, except for 2.
Patron
on Patreon. Her learning to fly video is released, and it's released 4 days early on Patreon. So if you guys are patrons, it costs $2. We're pushing a whole lot of kind of fresh, hidden content ahead of time, stuff behind the scenes, that kind of stuff, all there. So if you want to see it, go check it out. You can see her take her first flight, and she had some really big admissions in the debriefs. She had some really big feelings, lots of stuff she overcame. I'm so unbelievably proud of her. And last night she had I believe it was her 12th flight.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and she launched with no help, no assistance. Absolutely crushed it. So really, really cool stuff. Like really cool stuff. So like I say, if you guys are Patreons, check out the video, and we'd love to have you. William is in here. It's William from the last class. William is our stilts walker. William, dude, this guy literally walks on stilts for a living, and it was awesome to have him in the class, and he was a great compatriot for Nell, and he and Sam had So every class, we give out call signs, right? Yep. And it's kind of a secret process, and it got leaked a little bit last week, but it's not ever going to be leaked again.
That was my fault. Got a little excited.
But every class we have a golden boy, someone who just absolutely crushes it and everyone else hates. And my favorite moment of the class, I wasn't there for, but I heard about it. Yeah. And Sam was our golden boy. Sam's from the UK, lives in Boston, super good dude. He was partnered up with my wife. They were wingmen. They were working on learning to fly together. And he just did everything perfectly.
Right.
Like one of those people who just, everything was natural and super easy. And apparently, the last day of formal training before it went to just straight flights, it was reserve toss day.
Yep.
So we go through safety class, we go through reserve toss, we work our way up to make sure that we enhance the safety of everybody. And William, the first, says something along the lines of, well, at least I hope you suck at this. And Sam spun around. You know, we spin the students. They get all like gyrated around. And they yell throw, and perfectly placed, Sam places this reserve bag. And I've heard differing stories. One was it was in his crotch, one was in his chest, and one was in his face. I don't know where it landed, but it landed squarely on William's body somewhere. And Sam stopped spinning. And mind you, Sam is a demure, gracious Englishman,
Yes.
right? He is the most soft-spoken of the entire class.
Yeah.
He may be very talented, but he's not egotistical. He was the perfect golden boy.
Yeah.
And he looks over at William and goes, "Suck it, William." Which was just too perfect. It was like, really? Like, seriously. So absolutely amazing. And William says he missed completely. I don't know, man. I like my story better. I heard it my way. I think it's a more solid story. And Derek Trott asked, can he launch on stilts? William, we have to work on this, my friend. You need to
No,
come back and
that
fly
sounds crazy.
on a day with good weather so you can actually enjoy great air. Let us know when you want to come back, bud. We'd love to have you. So Nell did choose the Eclipse. To answer someone else's question, she's currently flying a Mojo Extra Small, and she will be soon testing the Spider 22. In addition to that, she has a Jomo, which is a lightweight Mojo Extra Small to fly also for lower wind. But she's actually crushing the no-wind launches, which is... I mean, my wife is not like a big person. She's a very small human, like your wife. But she's strong, and she's able to really dial in exactly what she has to do, and her launches look effortless.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that I know how much effort it is to, get a wing up and no wind. That's not easy. So
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. You brought up the Jomo, so I think we should just go ahead and talk about it for a second.
So the Jomo is a wing that came out for paragliding. It's the exact same wing as a Mojo, but all lightweight fabric. We wanted them to make a Jomo Power for about 2 years, but it's extremely expensive.
Yep.
And so as they are working toward new designs, they had a few for sale, so we bought their entire stock so we can utilize them in our school for those no-wind mornings. And
Now, a lightweight Mojo, this sounds too good to be true.
so the concept is that the Mojo is quite possibly the most forgiving wing I've ever flown.
Uh-huh.
But in no wind on a wet day, it can be challenging to inflate. I happen to think there's a puddle out there that's crying thinking about your experience. But not to throw you under the bus, but
That's great.
you butt drugged that puddle. That poor thing, man.
Yeah,
What
that
did it
was
ever do to
It
you?
went,
You part of the waters like Moses?
it was awesome.
Yeah, pretty exceptional. So all that to say, the Jomo is something we wanted to test. We were able to finally purchase a few and bring them to bear in the school. It's not something that will be a forever tool, but for those guys who are struggling to get a wing overhead on those no-wind mornings, we're hoping it helps. That's the goal.
Okay, so now you guys don't have to ask.
Eric Bankson asks, what do you think of the Independence Reserve? What do you think of the Independence Reserve, John?
Don't know what it is.
I know what it is, but I've never used it, so I can't give you any feedback. My personal belief is that I will never give feedback on something that either I haven't done massive research or personally used. The Evo Cross is the one I think you're talking about. My research tells me that it's a very good reserve. The weight of it is comparable to others, but I've never spoken to anyone who's thrown one. I've never spoken to anyone who's had it deploy, what the deploy time is, what the odds are of utilizing it, etc. So as much as I want to say, like, great reserve.
Yeah, it's so hard. It's such a hard question. What do you think about this reserve or that reserve? Like, how often are people testing these reserves?
Yeah, a lot when you're in the testing process.
Yeah, but we're not in that.
Right.
Talk about the video that shows all of the
Talk about the video that shows all of the
All of the.
all of the
reserve tosses.
Yeah.
Which video?
Who is it?
The one who's testing all the reserves in his pool.
No, those aren't reserves.
Those aren't reserves. Those are flotation
Those are
devices.
flotations.
You're very close. Tom Kubat did do that. That was different.
Yeah, that was.
That's a good one though.
Yeah.
I had a good question from Christine. She says she purchased a groundhog to learn to kite. Do we ever use non-flyer wings on windy days? We utilize currently we utilize certified speed wings, or not certified, but they're tested speed wings instead of the groundhog. We found that the groundhog was actually fairly challenging to kite. It was very twitchy, had a propensity to stall. We are working on something I can't talk about yet. We're working on something new. to be able to offer our students. So if you're going to be an Aviator student, you'll have a new opportunity that will increase the value of your training and shorten its timeline.
And if you're already scheduled for a class, this is not going to happen for you.
That's not true.
I'm heading off the questions
We're
now.
looking at January for what we're working on, and if it works out well, January, February, we're hoping, we're very, very hopeful that we can bring something to bear, but I can't talk any more about it because I have NDAs. So
But I just want to add that if we don't reach out to you about it, it didn't happen for you.
There you
so
go.
Don't ask us. Okay?
Poor John has received too many phone calls lately.
People want to know like all the things that we have in the future. They all assume it's right now.
No, and that's something that's really important to us. So that said, Christine, utilizing the groundhog is a great tool. Anything you can do
Better than nothing.
Learn to kite is going to be a great tool. And if you can kite a groundhog well, you can kite pretty much anything. Mm-hmm. So I highly recommend, just working your butt off. Watch our video of how to kite, learn it well, and grow. Huge shout out to my buddy Blaze, just joined in. Love seeing Blaze here. He's a great pilot from the UK. Probably one of the most generous people I've met in my last trip to Europe. We ended up in Annecy, and he just landed from a flight, and he's like, "Eric, take my kit. Let's go fly." And I was like, "You're the nicest."
Nice.
So Blaze, he's a Gen Team pilot. Flies on Team Mini Plane as well.
Cool.
Talented motor and free flight pilot. So glad to have you, Blaze.
Very cool.
Let's see. We had a question. If you would scroll up, Vertical Line says, "How often is Eric at Lake Wales now that the second location is open?" I've got one more question up there, a little higher, if you don't mind. Just above that one. No, a little lower. Where was it? That one. Okay. PPG Grandpa's. So to answer your question, I'm at Lake Wales every day. When the new location opens in January, I anticipate being there for the majority of the first class and bits and pieces of the next few classes, Vertical. The goal for me is to make sure that myself or Chris is a part of each class until we absolutely dial things in. It's really important to us to make sure that we have things done there the same way they're done here. And we have a great team that's heading things up there. You guys have met Drew before. Drew is he's been flying for most of my life. And he just has the biggest service heart and just a genuine human. So Drew's leading the school up there. Chris and I will be up there a lot. As far as how often I'm in the office, pretty much every day, 7 days a week, or I'm at home working. But that's because we're building a company and trying to do more good stuff. And now I'm finally done writing my book, and I don't know what to do with my nights anymore because I was working till 2 a.m. for the last 6 months.
Have you tried sleep?
I've heard it's good. I think I prefer naps.
Yeah.
Derek Trout says that Blaze has an amazing YouTube channel. So, guys, if you haven't checked out Blaze in the Skies YouTube channel, check it out. BLAISEINSKY. All right. Another question from PPG Grandpa. He brought up the idea that you can wash a wing with a hose and hang it up.
I bet you could do that.
Well, I mean, you can do anything once.
I bet you could give it a good scrub.
So the only time, literally the only time I would ever wash a wing with a hose is if it went into salt water. And then I would dry it slowly in the shade. The reality you have to keep in mind is that the wings are made of varying thicknesses and types of fabric, varying thicknesses and types of lines. They all dry at different speeds. Hanging it induces more stretching. Your goal is to keep the wing from stretching, right? Mm-hmm. So if your wing is dirty, fly it off grass for a while and it'll be clean, or take a damp cloth and wipe it down with no soap, just water, because soap can break down the UV
the coating
coatings. Yeah. So you just want to be really, really cautious. These are not cheap, and there's a lot of engineering that goes into them. You certainly want to take good care of your gear.
So don't put it in the washing machine, in the laundry.
My favorite one was there was a picture of a guy with, I think it was an ITV or an APCO wing, and he was at at one of those put $1 in. And
the car wash.
It was the car washer. And he was scrubbing it with a power washer,
Wow.
and I was like, why?
Wow.
Yeah, that was sad.
It's probably an old kiting wing.
Ben Smith asks, what's the best throttle for taking a wrap? Probably a trigger style. If your wing requires you to take a wrap, a trigger style is probably the better answer. However, just set up your brakes correctly so you don't have to take a wrap. I know. Ben's asking. So Ben is from Parajet, and I love Ben to death. He has some of the best hair. He might give you a run for the money there, Jono. It's possible.
I'm gonna doubt that.
But Ben's the Parajet throttle would be great for that, except for the fact that it's so unbelievably thick, and when it's cold, your hands start to develop hypothermia after about 14 seconds. It's made of metal. Yeah. Bob Litherax asks, do you have one-wheel classes? I can tell you, due to the nature of that beast, Aviator does not offer one-wheel classes. However, John Hancock does.
It's 3,500. It's about 1 minute long. It's a very easy class. Very easy class. Yep. But it is expensive.
Honestly, if you don't go into a one-wheel cocky, you go in cautiously with good attitude.
You'll die.
No, it's pretty safe. Like I finally crashed it. Finally, after riding it for 4 months, and I busted my butt hard. I got a little cocky, made a fast turn, dove into accelerate, and I lost control, a little swervy derby, and almost hit Fletch's car. Kind of bounced off his car into a palm tree. But
pretty much in the beginning, no matter how good you think you're going to be, don't try and step off with 1 foot. That's what I tell everybody. Don't try and step off with 1 foot. Don't try and step off with 1 foot.
Don't go too fast.
Well, yeah, they're not going to. If they're a beginner, hopefully they're not
Except
going
for
to.
AJ.
Well, AJ is a lunatic. I think we all know
He's
that.
ridiculously talented. Yeah. It's very annoying.
He is. He's something.
But,
I need a reserve parachute.
All right. So, yeah, one-wheels are awesome. We've actually had a huge run on one-wheels lately. We do have, I believe, 9 more XRs left if someone wants to get into one-wheeling. I had said that I wasn't going to buy one, and I now am definitely buying. I'm keeping the XR we have. I love it. I mean, the pint's the best thing for around the
We have
hangar
a couple
ever.
of pints left, too. If you guys want the pints, a smaller one, it's much cheaper. It's half the price.
Yeah, but it doesn't go
new.
as far or as fast,
Nope.
and it's not my kids love the pint,
Smaller battery.
but
Yep.
for someone my size,
Yeah,
it's nice to have the XR.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, that's not a question for this normally.
Can we finance new gear at Aviator PPG? Of course.
He said, "I'm so poor I can't even pay attention."
Of course you can. Yeah, we finance.
So Vertical, we have a few different options. We have an option you can utilize right there on the store. If you go to the store right now and say you want to go buy a Maverick, select your choices right there.
Yep.
Say I want a Maverick with a Atom 80. I want a medium harness. I want an Aviator throttle or a Polini throttle. I want the travel case, and then you can click Add to Cart, or you can click Pay with Klarna. And Klarna allows you to break up your payments over multiple months. There are other options which we do in-house, which is an in-house financing program that we utilize that allows you to have 0% APR for 6 months if you pay the origination fee. There's lots of options. You can email us info@aviatorppg.com. We'll definitely be happy to help you. So yeah, definitely happy to help. Let's see. More questions.
David DePino says he needs a reserve. He wants to know if we have any economical suggestions. He wants to buy one while he's here.
Yeah, David, I seriously recommend the Ozone Angel Square. It's both economical. It's not overly expensive. I believe, what's the $800? Is it $850? The Square?
For the 100 is
the 100 is $825. The 140 is $860 and $890. So it's not outrageously expensive. It is definitely
It's a very cheap form of insurance. Extremely cheap.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, I had an experience where I made some mistakes. I was flying an aerobatic routine, and I made bad decisions. I was flying gear that was brand new. I hadn't put a new reserve on it yet, and I ended up with a cascading series of collapses on an expert level wing, and I reached down for my reserve, and there wasn't one there.
That's the worst.
It was for me, and I was able to get it reopened and save myself, but I certainly would never even consider flying anything aggressive without a reserve again.
Yeah.
So it's very inexpensive insurance, in my opinion. Resurgence Todd says, can I finance gear and pay with whiskey and cuddles? Todd, I'm going to give you the line that's literally posted on the side of the Aviator building at this point, and that's, shut up, Todd. All right. We have more questions coming in. I need to catch my breath. I'm going to let you answer the next one there.
Yeah,
Jono.
hit me with another one, Nina. Hit me with another question. Yeah, a reserve.
Lines
Yeah, reserves are cheap.
Talks about buying equipment before.
Yeah, he said, I don't know enough to shop for gear, so I'll wait till class. Of course.
Yeah, definitely wait
Of
till your
course,
class.
this is rule number 1 of training at Aviator. It's please don't fall in love with your gear. There's honestly no reason to fall in love with a certain brand or a certain motor. It won't make sense until you know how to fly. You need to be a pilot, and you need to be able to try different things. When you're here, you'll be able to try 3 different motors. So definitely wait. You would never just buy a car that you haven't test driven, right? Right.
Well, you would hope not. I kind of did my last one, but I drove it across my yard, and it was nice.
There you go.
Eric Sheridan asks, can we help with the kit box build? Absolutely. Particularly for those of you guys who are in the Patreon group. We are going to have opportunities for you to join us in the adventure, whether it's here in the build process or actually out west flying around. We'd love to have help, so let us know when you want to come down. Let's see. John's beard is better. I'll give him that, says Ben Smith.
Oh, thank you, Ben. Thank you.
009 to 090 says, Eric, do you have any thoughts on a single layer compact wing like the Dudek V-King? They look interesting. I've flown a few of them. I haven't flown the V-King yet. I flew, what was the wing?
What does single layer
The
mean?
UFO. It's a single skin, so it's only top skin. The bottom skin's not there.
No cells?
There are no cells. There are cells. There are lines for cells, but there's no. It's not traditional in any way, shape, or form. I think it's an amazing launching wing. I found that single skin has a really poor flare ability. I am looking forward to flying more of them when they hopefully are able to release them. But right now, the hybrid wings are interesting to me, but I've not flown them, so I can't tell you more. David DePino says he spent $2,000 training and wishes like Matt he'd gone to Aviator. Great training. Oh, it's gone. And a fair price beats bad training any price. I'm really sorry you had a bad experience, David. That's like nails on the chalkboard to me, man. It hurts my heart. So I'm really sorry you had a tough time. If we can ever serve you, let us know.
David, one thing that you don't know is that this is a story that we hear every day.
Yep.
Or several times a week.
Yep.
And frankly, we're sick of it.
Yeah, we really are.
So sorry that another one got another good guy. So
Yeah.
sorry about that.
We're in a position now where we're growing our schools. We're adding more schools. We're adding more staff simply to stop that from happening. I talk about it in my book. Actually, there's this kind of moral obligation we have to try to build our business so that we can serve more people, because a year ago we were teaching 66 people a year. Next year we're going to teach 272. Our goal is to be able to serve people so they have a great experience, and this could be life-changing in a good way instead of a waste of money in a bad way.
Let's actually, I'm curious, David, if you'd care to share, how did you decide where to go? Was it a geographical thing, something much closer to home? That seems to be a pretty significant one. People just think, well, let me just go to this place. It's in my backyard. And then it's literally in some guy's backyard.
And sometimes it is. Yeah. And for us, it's a challenge. We don't want to badmouth anybody who does this, who shares their love of flight. But we also want to increase the professionalism and try to do things in a way that inspire more people to continue flying versus seeing their paramotor listed a year from now on Craigslist for a fraction of what they paid for it and realize that it's not been a great experience.
Yeah, and frankly, the health of the sport and therefore the health of this company relies on it.
Yes, absolutely.
So we need the sport to grow safely and in a good light for us to be successful. So it's kind of a weird chicken or the egg thing.
Yeah, it's a give and take.
Yeah.
William says, "I'm glad I settled on Aviator. I believe in your vision, Eric."
Settled.
William, I can't tell you, man. The fact that you said that you believe in my vision means the world to me personally. I believe that when people fly, something in them is enabled that's not normally there. Something that helps them see the world as a bigger place and helps them see their place in it, and it helps them find a new family. And so I'm really honored that you would that you came in the first place, and I'm really honored that you follow the vision. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, for sure.
PPG Grandpa says, if we get training elsewhere, is it possible to still come to Aviator and get a higher rating? We don't specialize in additional ratings or classes. When we can fit them in the schedule, they're really fun to do. We enjoy teaching PPG 3 classes, high wind clinics, trike clinics. thermaling clinics, etc. I would love to say absolutely yes, but we can't say absolutely yes right now. There's nothing on the calendar currently, simply because we're overloading our team with as many great beginners as possible. In the future, perhaps, but it's not something that's currently on the plans. So, yeah, it's a big part for us is trying to find great instructors who can follow the Aviator methodology, which is very succinct and have the same mindset we do. And so we are still hiring instructors, and we're also in the midst of hiring a filmmaker. If you happen to know a filmmaker that is looking for a dream job, we'd love to meet with them. If you know someone who has great experience in paramotoring and wants to come and learn how to teach and be a part of our team, please contact us. It's a huge part of what we do here, and we need good people. Blaze, if you want to come teach some advanced classes, let us know, my friend.
There's a good question. Can you paramotor with one kidney?
I think that our attorney would say that anything that limits your physical ability needs to be taken under advisement. It's the pilot's decision whether or not it's safe for you.
Yeah. What is your health like when you have one kidney? Aren't you functioning normally?
I believe so. I don't know. I mean, we've had students come through with 3/4 of their lungs. We've had students come through with arrhythmias and other issues with
One
their body.
leg.
One leg. Recently, a student, not here, but another resurgence candidate had 2 half legs, and he flew beautifully. Absolutely amazing story.
2 half legs is 1 leg.
That's true. And so, it's definitely a consideration. So, yeah. Let's see. What's the best way to connect your side mounted reserve and general malleons or soft shackles? I use malleons just because I can quickly and easily test them, and I don't have soft shackles easily available. So,
What is that?
Yeah. Let's see. Craig Taylor says, can you paramotor with 1 leg? Craig Taylor has 1 leg, and he is one of the best people I know and one of the most energetic pilots we've ever trained. Absolutely awesome guy.
Yeah.
K-Ray says, see you Saturday. Looking forward to it, K-Ray.
K-Ray.
Eric Sheridan says they sold their kidney for gear. Let's see. Q-Ball says, I'm slated for class in December. I have 12 hours of kiting practice. Is there a kiting skill level that lets us know we're prepared? 12 hours is awesome. I don't think there's a certain skill level. However, I would say that the more kiting you can do, the more success you can find yourself in the myriad of different conditions, the better. Dave Count says, my brother flies with 1 kidney and half a brain. That's awesome, Dave.
Wow. That is fun.
Here's a question for you, John. Why do some paramotors have a whistle built in?
Is it a rape whistle?
Depends on the paramotor brand. And knowing what Eric flies, maybe.
It's like a rescue thing, right?
So, no, it's actually, it comes from free flying.
Oh.
If you're flying in a congested site, a lot of times free flying harnesses will have on their chest strap a whistle built in, so you can bend over and blow the whistle, right? It's to inform someone they're about to crash into you.
Oh.
It's just to let you know that you're
It's
really
like
close.
honking the horn.
Exactly.
That's
so,
funny.
I think that many of the paramotor harness manufacturers originally built free flight harnesses, and so they integrate the same thing. So
That's funny.
yeah. Yeah, David DePino. Yeah, David's coming down here, isn't he? Yeah, looking forward to having you,
Yeah,
David.
he'll be
It's
here
going to be
to-
great to have you, my
He's going to
friend.
buy a reserve when he gets here.
Let's see here. After my class, trike class, can I sign up for a foot launch, and how many days are involved? Do students leave with a PPG-2 rating?
Yeah.
Vertical, to answer your question, you can sign up for foot launch. The number of days depends on your personal skill. We currently don't have a foot launch transition class on the schedule, but that's definitely something we could talk about. As far as leaving with a PPG-2 rating, it depends on how many flights you get. We won't give a rating until you have 25 flights. However, we do everything else, including your written test. We help you with everything all the way up to the point where you're ready to receive your PPG-2 rating, and you inform us when you have the flights. We double check your skills and ensure that you have what you need. Eric Sheridan, yes, ouch, I love you. Eric Bankson asks, APCO hybrid. I've not flown the APCO hybrid. I've looked interestingly at the Niviuk new hybrid that came out last year. I've flown the Ozone Ultralight. It's fantastic. I've not flown the new version, just ordered an 18-meter to do some testing with. I'm very much looking forward to it. Subi Life, do you guys do acro training?
Nope.
Nope.
We don't do acro training.
We don't. If you want to do acro training, our encouragement is to go to people who are way better than we are. I've been teaching people how to fly for almost 8 years. And I still feel like for SIV and aerobatics or acrobatics, whatever you want to call it, I am not the best guy. We would recommend that you go see someone who specializes. Kyle at One Up Adventures with my business partner Travis. Kyle's a phenomenal acro pilot. He may be able to help you. But Kyle went to Europe. He went and trained with Theo de Blick in Italy and in Spain to get to the point where he was doing infinite tumbles was work, and more work, and lots of training and making sure he did things absolutely as safely as possible. Greg Anthony Harris, what's the coldest flyable temperatures the gear can handle?
Good question.
How cold, John?
Who was it? Doran Martin flew in minus 40.
That's insane.
Yeah, he ended up getting a really, really bad frostbite on this piece of skin right here. That
The only piece
exposed.
that was open.
Yes, but minus 40, I mean, so, which, by the way, fun fact about minus 40. Minus 40 is the only temperature where Fahrenheit and Celsius are the same temperature.
Ooh.
Minus 40.
The more you know.
So he flew in that. So
That's mental.
the gear's aight.
Yeah, the gear's okay. That's pretty crazy.
What happens if you far while flying?
Aaron Lapp wants to know what happens when you while flying. I'm going to project
never
this
done
to you,
this.
John.
Have you done this?
Oh, God, yes.
It hasn't occurred to me. Like, I never had to fart while flying. Earlier when setting up for the live stream, like crazy, but never while flying.
Never while flying.
Just doesn't happen. That part of my body doesn't function while I'm flying.
So one of the funny things that was discussed, because we were in our thermal clinic, and I was discussing some of our longer thermal flights, and we've had a day my brother and I took off and flew for 5 hours, and then landed, and then took off and flew 3 more hours. It was a full day of flying.
You fart for extra lift.
Well,
right?
that might be advised, but in that situation, they're like, well, what happens if you have to pee?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I won't go into the details because it wouldn't be very family friendly, but
You get out of your seat.
well, I guess I'm going into details then. You just have to be you have to be very careful that certain parts of your body don't go into the prop.
Well, yeah, and you also need to make sure you're not above any.
Yeah, I mean,
Anything?
if you're raining yellow rain upon people, it's probably ill-advised.
Yeah.
But I never thought about it. And then that day we were flying, and we were flying this ridge of lift that was beautiful. And my brother is like, gets on the radio, Eric, I gotta pay. My brother's a little redneck.
Did he have that accent? I gotta pay.
Oh, he had a little accent. It was
That's
pretty
funny.
great. And so he slides out of his harness, and he's hanging 1 mile south of the country club over these oak trees. And I'm just like, you realize you're peeing in full sight of the country club, right? He's like, I'll turn around. Absolutely priceless.
Well, the motor was off, so everything was okay.
No, his motor was on.
Oh, crap. Okay.
And he did not mince any parts. So lucky man.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Peeing in the wind is not a good idea, says Craig. Can't you use a P-tube? Yeah, you could.
P-tube.
A lot of cross-country paraglider pilots utilize a P-tube. It's something that, catheter-type P-tube is definitely an option. Condom-like, not catheter-like. If you do a catheter-like, I will question your manhood.
No, that's insane.
Yeah, don't do that.
Bob wants to know if he can have a North Star strobe on each side of his helmet.
You absolutely could, yeah.
That's crazy.
There'd be so much. I put one on top, and it's plenty.
Yeah, one is enough.
Yeah, Steven Zalvani says that your temperature fact is verified by Google.
Isn't that weird?
Christine says, so jealous you guys have the option. Any female options? Yes, absolutely. You could, without question, do a Shiwi with, I would recommend double stick tape to ensure it holds position. The fact that we're talking about this seriously, I hope exemplifies our lack of sexism.
So, double-sided tape with a shiwi.
Yes.
Oh, shiwi?
A shiwi. You don't know what a shiwi is? Shiwis are awesome.
It's a lady.
It's like a thing that you. It's a funnel. It's a very craftily formed funnel.
That's insane.
And Greg Anthony Harris put the nail in the coffin here and says, just don't pee a negative 40.
No.
I concur, sir.
No, don't do that.
I certainly concur. JP Tulu, good to see you, buddy. Hope you get down here and fly with us soon. Blaze says, where do you see paramotoring in 10 years, engines, gliders, and regulation? I wouldn't even dare answer that question. I have to say, like, the reality is there are so many things that have changed in the last 8 years I've been involved in the sport. Being able to even guess where we'd be in 10 years.
Let me ask you this version of it.
Yeah.
Let's say it just keeps growing at this rate that it's growing. Every year it's a little more. It's exponential, right? Do we all collectively find more places to fly from or fewer? Are we going to be continually limited, or will we all, because there's so many people and it's such a normal, it's such a normal thing to do that now we're able to find more places to fly from?
So I think it's either one of those options is too possible. I think that most likely it will be more limited as more people join the sport. But there's a back end to that. And if anyone watched the live stream last week, you heard a discussion between myself and our chief counsel, John Sidham, Esquire, who's a phenomenal lawyer. And he talks at length about the property owner liability and creating paratopias, paravanas, where we can go to a place where a group of paramotor pilots buys a piece of property, secures the right to utilize it, and ensures its preservation for future generations of pilots.
Right.
I think that we're going to see more and more groups forming corporations that purchase property for the sheer use of enjoying launching and landing from it.
Isn't that called a REIT?
A REIT?
R-I-T. Somebody look that up. Is it called a REIT, real estate, or R-E-T, real estate trust, something like that?
So you can do a real estate trust.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different options to do it. The simplest format would be a limited liability corporation with an S corp that's owned by multiple members, where they go into a property together. They all put down the down payment. They all make the payments which could easily be done by charging a base membership fee.
Membership fees, yeah.
Yeah. And
liability waivers, everybody.
Exactly. So
Right.
you let's say you want to buy in Florida, for instance, if you want to buy 100 acres, you're going to spend $500,000, $550,000, $580,000. The down payment on agricultural land, which you can still utilize it for agricultural uses, which allows you to enjoy the tax benefits from it, and you can still launch off of it at that point. You can even have part of it registered as an airport, put in a runway, have a heliport, ultralight port, whatever you may want to call it. I think that we're going to see a massive rise in those over the next 10 years because more and more of us working together for good is going to recognize that we need to work toward longevity.
Yeah, more people will band together so that the sport continues to grow without damaging it.
Right. So say we were going to spend $500,000. We need 20% down, so we need $100,000. How many?
Is it 20% for agricultural land?
For farm credit it is.
Oh.
So farm credit's 20% down. Let's say we go, now we need $100,000. How many pilots do we need for $100,000 to make it justifiable? You know, if pilots are spending $15,000 between training and kit, an extra $1,000 that buys them a place to fly, that they have ownership stake in, that's an interesting proposition.
Are you saying you get 1,000 pilots together?
No, you get 100 pilots to get $100,000 down.
So what if you get 10 good buddies, and can you make it a business? That's sort of the thing that was iffy on when John was here. Can you make it a business and have membership dues cover the mortgage, or is that now?
So that's
affecting the liability?
That's the challenge. The other concepts and considerations are overall liability for corporations, insurance, et cetera, et cetera. James Dunn brought up a great point here. He says Ducks Unlimited, but for paramotor pilots. Paramotor's Unlimited.
What is
and
that?
So Ducks Unlimited buys wetlands to protect ducks.
What?
Part of what we want to do with the Aviator Foundation is we have a two-part goal. One is to encourage people to get in the air that have never flown before. The second part is to create the opportunity to protect flying sites. And part of it may end up being people donate to Aviator Foundation and we buy properties around the country that are nonprofit.
No dues.
Well, there'd be maybe dues, but it'd be all go to a nonprofit, so it's all tax deductible.
Right.
I'm not sure where it will take us. We're going to have our first board meeting very soon. I love the idea.
Yeah, if
and
you hurt
utilizing
yourself,
a nonprofit.
you're suing a nonprofit.
Yeah, utilizing a nonprofit gives us a huge additional option. So as our schools grow, we have more and more opportunities to try to create these paratopias where we can keep a place to fly.
I see a lot of this subject in my future. This particular subject.
How much money are you donating to Aviator Foundation?
Well,
$5?
Aviator Foundation.
$7?
If that's what the Aviator Foundation is doing, then I'm sure there will be a lot.
At least $5.
Yeah, at least $5.
You're not even a Patreon yet.
Well, I didn't know there was one. I didn't know.
John says, wasn't there somebody in Florida selling shares in a paramotor flying island? I don't know what the story was on that. I heard something about it. I don't know the story.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
I would do that.
Ray, good day, Eric. Great show. Sydney, Australia. Great to have you, Australia. Whoa. Ben at Parajet, good night, my friend. It's very late there. It's now been an hour and 6 minutes since we started the actual show.
Has it?
Or an hour and 1 minute, I believe, actually. Georgia Aztec says it's not going to happen. Look at Meg's Field in Chicago. More people, more regulations from the FAA. I agree. There will be more regulations potentially, although I know from personal experience with the FAA, we work at a very high level with the FAA, that they want to avoid more regulations. There's definitely a possibility. Craig Taylor says, wait, what Patreon? There's a Patreon for the Aviator family episodes. If you want to see episodes early, you want to have an opportunity to come on the adventure with us, check out patreon.com/aviatorfamily. All right, let's see. Let's go ahead and jump back to questions real quick.
Put the link to the Patreon in there so people can give $2. We don't know.
Patreon.com/aviatorfamily. All right. There's so many great people in here, guys. Thank you so much for joining the chat. Thank you for being a part of this podcast and this live stream. If you're enjoying it, leave us a like, share it with your friends. If you enjoyed the entire experience, thank you.
Nope,
truly.
You're not spelling it correct.
No, it's frozen.
Put it in the browser. That way you can copy the full URL.
There we go. Eric Banks says, Meg's got devastated not by the FAA, but by a mayor. He's absolutely correct. The mayor actually in the middle of the night went to Meg's Field.
What is that?
Meg's Field was in Chicago on the island right in the lake. It's actually the first field you launch from when you fly Microsoft Flight Sim, which was my childhood. So excited they're coming out with a new one.
So it's a planes thing.
So yeah, it's an airport. It's an airport like this one that we're sitting at right now.
Right.
And the mayor of Chicago at the time was rampant that he wanted to turn it into a park and they ended up putting a big concert hall right where it was. And so he said, listen, I want this place shut down. And they're like, this place has received federal grant funds for an airport for decades. It's not going to get shut down. So in a fit of rage in the middle of the night, my understanding of the story is that the mayor sent Cat D9 dozers in and tore the runway apart.
He sounds like a supervillain, like Kingpin.
It does kind of sound like a supervillain, but the reality was he had dozens of airplanes on the ground that had to be taken apart and carted out of there by semi-trucks as he destroyed this airport to the point where it would cost tens of millions to restore it.
That's not going to happen again.
No, but the point was that it was not the FAA that did that. In fact, he did it in direct violation of the FAA.
Yeah.
He did it on his own.
Wow.
So it is something that's something to consider, but Eric Bankson really dialed it in. I appreciate that very much. William, yeah, I've flown that flight pattern so many times, man. I'm the guy who never was allowed to get a yoke or anything. I had to use the keyboard and mouse.
Boo!
And I think it taught me better, honestly. It was a great way to learn. But I had hundreds and hundreds of airplanes. There were these websites you could download airplane models. So I would get all the airplanes I was buying and flying as a kid, and I'd learn to fly them on the flight sim first, like FS 2000, boy, FS 95. Like, it was so awesome.
Hey, your plane doesn't have a yoke.
No, it does not.
Wow.
It has a stick.
No yoke in his plane, y'all.
Yeah.
He's
Slow
all
days.
egg white.
I'm not sure what the story is there. If you type in Megs, MEIGS, Megs Field, I'm sure you can find out more on Wikipedia. All right. We're getting close to the end of the questions. Steven Zalvani says, you've probably answered this question before. Campy the Denellen is on the field.
Not on the field. It's next to the building. It's in, like, the parking lot.
Yeah, basically. Right. It's dry camping next to the field. That's the short answer. The long answer is we're working on additional lodging options, including some Airbnb type stuff that should be available very soon. We're excited about it. So, hit exit page, Nina. There you go. I think you need a club that gives us liability insurance and sites. We were working on that, Derek. We're working on clubs. We're working on a lot of stuff for liability insurance. There's a lot of potential that we're working towards. So, we have lots and lots and lots of goals. We're just trying to get through the day-to-day and work toward the goals together. So, all right, where is the questions? Can you elaborate on why you shouldn't use trailing edge brakes while on speed bar? JP Tulu, I could. The short answer is that it disrupts the reflex profile, which changes the way that the wing maintains pressure, which is why it becomes volatile. I would love to answer that question better for you, which I'm going to do by bringing in Dav from Ozone, who's the chief designer from Ozone, and have him share what is actually happening scientifically.
Cool.
Any other questions, Dina?
We are frozen.
It's frozen, so I'm looking at
It's so frozen.
No.
Frozen 2.
All right. Guys, we have had a great live stream. We started with Jeopardy. We dove into deep questions about my middle name. We had a phenomenal time discussing everything possible about losing a kidney and still flying. As we progressed through this stuff, I got to say, John, thanks for being here.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure every time.
Every time. I have to talk him into it every time.
I think that people are going to revolt if they see my face one more time. They're going to freak out.
Well, I have no idea who the guest will be next week. We do have Jacqueline's boyfriend going to be here.
Jacqueline's boyfriend is here.
Quite a few other...
We should get Jacqueline on here.
Jacqueline's going to be the queen of this thing.
Yeah.
Jacqueline's going to be like over here. We're going to have Wheel of Fortune next week. We need to have Wheel of Fortune.
Come on, man.
Oh, that would be epic. Can we have Wheel of Fortune, please?
By next week, 7 days from today? No.
Oh, Nina says she's good at crafts. It's happening.
Wait.
Nina, you and my wife, Wheel of Fortune tomorrow night.
All right, you guys make Wheel of Fortune.
Oh my gosh, this
Okay.
would make me so happy. So we're going to have AJ on the show again soon because he's taking over a new role at Aviator. I want to share what that is and how it's working for us. I've been very, very excited about that, very pleased. Lots more to come. Guys, if you haven't signed up for the Patreon yet and you're interested in supporting the channel, even with $2, you can check out the videos of my wife's first flight. There's a lot of tears, a lot of truth, a lot of heart. I'm really proud of her. I'm really proud of our entire Aviator family for coming together behind her and just supporting each of our students. We had some students who had their struggles this class, and I couldn't be more proud.
And explain what the Patreon's for. The money's not going to your kids' Halloween costumes.
No, the Patreon. So the whole point of this is we're going out next summer trying to create a whole new audience for adventure seekers. We're trying to get people who are currently watching Overland, Expedition Overland, people are currently watching How to Learn to Fly Private Pilots. We want to get everyone involved in this idea that they can be living an adventure that's bigger than themselves. So I'm taking my wife and my kids out west for the summer with a bush plane and a bunch of paramotors.
So it's your alcohol budget.
Not even alcohol. This won't cover that. If the stress level hits where I anticipate, I mean, it's scary. But the reality is we wanted to create the Patreon because we recognize that if we didn't do that, someone else would.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of people who've asked us what they can do to help. And so this is an opportunity for people to give back if they want to. Currently, we're making $27 per video from our 2 patrons, which we really greatly appreciate. The 2 videos that are currently out on Patreon, the one that's publicly released and the one that's private, I have around 120 hours between filming and editing. So at $27 per video, yeah, it's like my normal wage. It's pretty solid.
Yep.
But and we're hiring a filmmaker full time, so we're gonna bring a filmmaker in to make this stuff even better. And our goal is just to be able to share stuff in a different way. We want to share our family life. We want to share what the day-to-day life is here.
Yep.
So.
I don't think that anybody would say that that message does not need to be spread. Did that make sense?
It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
If there's anybody in here that thinks that the joy of aviation should not be shared,
please leave.
Why are you here? What are you doing? So it's even just $2 will help. It's because it is separate from the company Aviator. This is Eric's family project that they're all doing together. Even $2. It all helps. That way he doesn't take money out of the live stream budget.
Yeah, which would really hurt John's soul and his hair products. That said, by the way, new merch coming very soon.
Ooh.
I have the newest design.
Wow.
It's called Altitude is Everything.
Altitude is everything.
And it looks sick.
Tell that to Fletch and Chris.
I will have that stuff up very, very soon.
Very cool.
I hope to be able to share this stuff with you guys. We're going to have a really, really fun time with it.
Love it.
I have another one that I'm really excited about too. It's like, it looks like pure adventure in its like sexiest form.
Nice.
So guys, thank you so very much for watching. See us next week on Tuesday. We'll look forward to being here for you all. Have a wonderful evening and good night.
Vertical Lens wants to know if he can use a GoPro.
The live stream is over, and therefore we're done answering questions.